These shelves tell a story about me, my first exploring here in Bulgaria. And there's more in this apartment. So, should you come in here as someone who doesn't know me, you would see that I try to make life an adventure. And that's what it is. And how I get to this adventure is because I chose to go against the grain. I chose to follow what was in my heart and to move abroad. And that was not an easy decision. It would not be an easy decision to you or to anyone. Moving abroad is perhaps one of the hardest decisions that you would ever make in your life. Even if you set out to move for only half a year, it will still be incredibly hard. And that's not necessarily because it's hard in a logistical sense. It is hard because you make it hard. It is hard because of what is in between your ears, of what is in your mind. When I moved abroad, I was 22 years old. It was 2014. I moved to this very apartment in Sofia, Bulgaria. I moved for various reasons, but I basically made an equation. I was stuck with a study loan of, let's say, 30,000 euros, or perhaps even more. Something in that perspective, in that ballpark. So I was in the Netherlands working double jobs, barely making any money, barely affording my own rent. It was possible, but I had nothing left to pay off my study loans. And the interest started building up. Compound interest. It's a thing that can completely mess up your finances. So, if you're a young chap like I was, always be careful what you sign up for. I knew what I was getting into, but I have to say it was harder to beat a dent into this huge study loan that I took on as an 18 or 19-year-old guy. So after graduating, it was hard to get these monthly payments in, even though the monthly amount is quite low. So what I did, it was a crisis. There were not too many jobs. I was working 2 jobs, barely being able to sustain myself. I looked abroad for places where I would have the highest income and the lowest cost of living. Now, you have a lot of places that can offer you this, but Bulgaria is one of the best ones, and it still is nowadays, especially if you have a certain skill such as programming or basically any skill, and you know how to set yourself apart in a market abroad. It's an incredibly hard thing to do, but you have to start somewhere, and that can be with any of the large international companies here. That's what I did. 5 years later, I'm still here because life is awesome. And I rent this apartment for 10 euros a day, 310 euros a month, which is next to nothing, obviously. It is near a metro station, it is near the business park. I have the whole city within reach. I am a taxi ride of 2-3 euros away, or perhaps 4 euros, to the airport, and I'm right inside the terminal. It's just incredibly easy to move around in this city if you have the salary that can afford you these things. Because I'm an expat, I make a higher salary than the average people here. Because I bring language skills and certain other skills to the table. So what you should do if you want to do the same is set yourself apart in a market by skills that you have or skills that you acquired or that you will acquire. Set yourself apart, then move to the place with the highest salary, lowest cost of living, and still basically, you don't need to go live in a third world country. You do want decent healthcare, you do want insurance, you do want to be able to go to clinics, you do want to be within certain reach of your parents, of your home, in case you want to go back or need to go back. But what it comes down to is that this equation, basically to come up with this idea, to look abroad, to look outside of what is standard, you need to switch your mindset because you're stuck in the old rut. You are stuck in what your friends in your small town are thinking of you. You are stuck in the mindset of what your parents think of you. Your baby boomer parents who have basically no idea of what has changed in the world in the last few years. You have a better idea of that. You know what opportunities are out there. Your parents, with all due respect, my parents, grew up in a completely different environment where there was not such a big need to think outside of the box because it was next to impossible to move abroad. There was no EU when my parents were children, when they were young adults. No such thing. No such thing. Or even if, depending on their age, there was no ability to just pack your bags and move to Bulgaria. Bulgaria? Behind the Iron Curtain? Are you kidding me? What's Bulgaria? They're only gypsies. They don't even have roads or internet. Some of the actual reactions I got when I said I would go work in Bulgaria. I got the most outrageous comments. It was insane. Even though the year before I had lived in Romania, the comments were even more insane because people know sunny beach. They know, oh, at least Bulgaria has the sun. People go on vacation, so it must not be that big of a dump. But still, people were completely shocked. And if I had listened to them, I would have stayed home. I would have been stuck in the Netherlands now, in the flat where I was living, 400 euros a month for a small room, where I had to walk through the bathroom to get to the common area of the apartment, where I lived with two others, and if one guy had a shower in the morning, I couldn't pass through to go to the kitchen because he was doing his things. It was not good. I lived in a criminal area. There were drug deals. They found bodies in the block. One morning I opened the door and the whole hallway was filled with blood, so something had happened. There was police, there were sirens every night. Yes, that was a bad area of a city in the Netherlands that I lived, and I'm not exaggerating. I felt fine, but it's not completely safe everywhere in the Netherlands. Neither is it anywhere else. But if you're stuck in such a place, you need to think about your personal safety. You need to either get into a higher paying job, start your own business, or just look beyond the borders. Because if you listen to what your parents or your friends say, you are basically doomed to fail. That is, if you have your head screwed on well between your shoulders, if you have common sense, you know of yourself, if you have decent intelligence. If that is the case, you might know more than your peers who are in the bar eating chicken wings and sipping beer, watching football. Are you going to let yourself and your life path be affected by these people? By your parents who are afraid that you will stick around in their old age? You don't owe anybody anything. You know who the only person is that you owe something to, that is you. I owe something to myself, and I knew that if I don't move abroad, if I don't set out the sails, I will be one day on the balcony having a beer and thinking, what happened? I'm suddenly 15 years old and I didn't do what I aspire to. I didn't do it. And that's what I wanted to avoid at all cost. So I just made a decision and then moved. And yes, it's hard, but as I said, it's only hard because of what's in your mind. Because if you're lucky enough to live in the EU, you can pack your bags and leave tonight. You can go to another city. You can go to Munich in Germany. You can go to Warsaw in Poland, to Stockholm, to Madrid. You can go to Lisbon, to Rome, to Athens. Now there are certain countries that offer you a better perspective than others. You can build your LinkedIn profile. You can easily apply to jobs. It just takes a click of a mouse. And if you have some skills, your phone will ring the same minute even. And you can say, I'm available right now. I will take the next Wizz Air flight to Athens, I don't know where. And you can start. And you open your bank account. You register yourself as a resident, which you only need to do after 90 days. And you're there. Can you imagine how special it is? And no one does it. Next to no one does it. Yes, the Bulgarians do it. They will go abroad to get a better salary. It's because they have to, because they're forced to, just like I was. Because I need to get this study loan paid off. I have 4,000 euros left. That means that I've been able to, in many months, pay off more than 1,000 euros a month while living in my own apartment. Let me tell you one thing. There are very few people in the Netherlands of my age who, one, live in their own apartment because we have a mad housing crisis. Second, pay off 1,000 euros a month for a study loan. It's next to impossible. Now once it's paid off this year, I can save 1,000 euros a month. I can invest 1,000 euros a month. I could buy a property. I could do lots of things that I am currently researching. The thing is that I didn't listen to the others. I saw what was out there. I saw that the EU is an open market for me as a young professional to just go and settle somewhere else. And once again, this apartment cost me 10 euros a day. Utility costs are next to nothing. I don't even count them in the calculation because it's just a couple tens of bucks a month. My rent has never changed. I've paid 10 euros a day since I came here, and it's always been the same. It's a great place. That's also why I didn't give it up. And I grew where I got planted. Bulgaria is not the easiest place to live, to set out on your own, but I grew where I was planted. I got some opportunities. I grew my skills. I've become an incredible lot wiser, and I'm still here, starting a new job as a contract analyst on Monday for a global law firm. I never knew I would say it, but I'm proud of what I reached here in Bulgaria. I've made a cornerstone from where I can set out on new adventures. This is a very significant achievement for me. And just like perhaps you, I was at one point a very insecure teenager. Very insecure. I got bullied a lot. Which was tough on me, as it would be on anybody else. And I cared a lot about other people's opinion. Now that's a whole lot less. When I wanted to travel abroad alone, because I just had the adventure and nobody wanted to come with me. I had a sense of adventure inside me. I wanted to go take trains to the Balkans. I was so much discouraged by the people around me saying, you want to travel alone? That's weird. And that's like 10 years ago. Nowadays it's more accepted, but 10 years ago, travel alone? Are you some sort of psychopath? Travel to the Balkans? The Balkans is Is that even accessible for us nowadays? Can you go there even without having 10 sorts of visa? Yes, you can. Um, and I didn't listen, and I went, and I had some of the best times of my life. I want to do an internship in Romania because it's a country nobody knows, and I'm just interested in these countries. I like it. It's like the southern mix with the Mediterranean uh, laid back atmosphere with good food. You have amazing grilled meats, you have fun people, you have great beer, you have good coffee, good restaurants. It's summer, it's winter, you have the four seasons. For me, it is one of the most amazing and diverse places in the world. Yes, I've seen more than just the Balkans, but for me, I like this area. I have some sort of connection with it. I did my internship in Romania. People busted me so much for it. Oh, it's the poorest country in Europe. You're gonna get killed. You'll be found by the roadside one day. Can you imagine how insecure you make a teenager when you or when direct relatives tell such things? 99% of people would stay where they are. They would pull back their decision or their initiative and not do it at all. The only thing that pushed me to do it is that I was imagining myself standing on that balcony when I turned 50 and realizing that I hadn't done it, that I hadn't tried. That's why I did it. And that's the only reason. It's because I had something burning inside of me. And I'm telling you, if you have the same, you, from the first minute of this video, would know what I'm talking about. If you have the same burning thing inside of you, go do it. And go do it now. Because there has been no better age in the whole history of humankind to be alive. No matter if it's a recession or not. Currently the economy is doing fine. There's very low unemployment and there are chances out there for you. Now I'm not saying go be an unskilled laborer somewhere. You need to bring something to the table. So think very hard. But if you have this inside of you, you must go. Because if you want, you're making the decision to stay with your peers who are pulling you back, crabs in the bucket. Because these people don't have the same mindset. They don't have that thing inside them, that burning sensation to get out there, to explore. And you can't even blame them for it. If they don't have it, they don't have it. Some people have a burning sensation to become a top soccer player. I wouldn't understand it. I don't care. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. But to them, that matters. So I would try to stimulate them. So if you don't feel stimulated by your direct environment, even though what you're trying to do is courageous, it's almost an act of heroism to go out and do your own thing. If you don't feel encouraged in that, it means that you must pursue it. Even more so. You have to be stubborn and realize that the obstacle is the way to go. So you will have to work on your discipline. You'll have to put in a lot of time, a lot of research on the place that you're going to go. You'll have to go visit, see if you like it. Find a job. Find a job that will somehow get you on the running for the rest of your career. Perhaps just set out on the right path. But if you want it, if you want to see the world, yes, go backpacking like I did for about 3 months. Best time of my life. I didn't even mention that in this video. I went backpacking to the Caucasus region for 3 months. It was amazing. I had a blast. Even though, again, lots of people discouraged me to go, they would say that I would get kidnapped or get lost or just not turn up back in the Netherlands anymore. We are not so open-minded. we're open-minded. If you go to Thailand, wear some yoga pants and go find yourself, then we're all dandy with your plans. But if you go to any other obscure country, we're not so open-minded at all, especially if it's in Eastern Europe. It's a very, very freaky region for us, even though luckily that's changing. The thing is, if you have this inside you, go explore the options, because there has been nobody in this world ever before you to have the options that you have on your lap right now, especially if you're in the EU, but also if you're in the US. You would be a fool not to explore your options. So leave any comments that you want, set out your sails, and trust yourself, trust your intuition. And remember what I said, not making a decision is making a decision. If you keep standing at an interaction, at a road junction in your life, you might as well build your house at this very junction. Think long and hard, life is very short. Take the right decision, and you do that only for yourself, like I did. You have to be arrogant in this life, you have to be egotistical sometimes. Don't be a prick, but you have to fight for you, because nobody's coming to save you except for yourself. Best of luck to everyone. I hope that this helps any soul out there, because I'm not putting it out for me, putting it out for my followers. I'm wishing you all the best, and reach out in case of any questions. Take care. Bye bye.